Welcome back to the program. We're still talking about the nation's security, and earlier on we discussed election security, and right now we talk about post-election security. Let's get back to our guests in Abuja. We have Mr. Oswago Gochukwu, a lawyer and a member of the Presidential Committee on Administration of Criminal Justice and an APC chieftain from Abuja. And right next to him we have Mr. Sonny Umar. He is the former spokesperson, or media aide rather, to former Vice President Nnamdi Sambo. And we have another guest joining us tonight in the studio, Group Captain Felix Iheanacho. He is a security and defense intelligence expert. Thank you so much, gentlemen. So let's go into post-election security. Now, you listened to the statement by the spokesperson of ACF, the Arewa Consultative Forum, and I'm sure you've been following the discussion about the proposed Ruga settlement and how this might end or probably aggravate, according to some people, the farmers-herders clashes. So I'd like to begin with our security expert tonight, Group Captain Iheanacho. What is your opinion on this? Some are saying this might aggravate the tension. Some others say this is a solution we are looking for. What's your take on it?
Well, as we know, we've been seeing reactions. Most of the communities and areas where these settlements are proposed are already expressing resentment on this plan, and I therefore think it deserves to be looked into. We need to review that plan because I see it as not a welcome initiative by those communities where they are intended for.
Okay.
So to that extent, I can see some problems arising therefrom if we do that without carrying those communities along with us.
No.
And we need to look at international best practices when it comes to even farming itself. The traditional farming methods we have today has gone beyond what it used to be in the past.
Okay.
And therefore, we need to synchronize our farming culture with the state of we find ourselves today, which is more modern than what it used to be.
Okay, let me briefly... All right, just a moment, please. Let me briefly get Mr. Ogochukwu's response. Now, one of the major campaign promises of President Muhammadu Buhari is fixing the nation's security. Now, in the light of this announcement and the reactions that have trailed this, do you think this is still in line with that promise?
Well, the issue of the proposal that the Ruga community were talking about, it still remains a proposal. And just like you've been hearing and the reactions have been coming in, the idea is to ensure that the herders live happily with respect the host communities where they found themselves. I think that is the main idea about it. And just like you rightly said earlier on, that is a mere proposal. And the president is a listening president. And based on the reactions the president is receiving, I want to assure you that the president will look into those reactions and take appropriate actions with respect to the issue of security. But I assure you that the idea basically is to ensure that the herders live happily in whatever community they found themselves, and do their business of cattle rearing peacefully. All right,
Mr. Sonny Umar, briefly, is your party in support of this idea? And also, if your party were in government, for example, what would you have done differently about the security situation in the country?
You see, the issue of herders and nomadic cattle rearers is not a new thing. Their movement, the Ruga, is not a new thing. Ruga is not a new terminology, it's not a new lexicon. It is, what is in contention is that government is involved. Otherwise, the Fulanis are known for movement. But if you take a look at it generally, the Fulanis are one of the most neglected people in terms of government patronage. And in that respect, most times, the only time they were able to get something closer to government patronage was during IBB, where he did something for nomadic commission for nomadic education. Otherwise, they have been left in the boat. That is why most of them are highly uneducated, those nomadic ones, and this is why we are having security issues like kidnappings and the rest, because they know the forest. They have been left to wander around Nigeria. They know every nook and corner, all the area of the forest, so they know what to do, where to hide somebody, nobody will see him, and so forth and so on. So, government's participation in trying to, tackle this menace is very, very important and very essential. And I think it is not rooted in Ruga settlement. Ruga settlement, when you provide them with legitimate means of education wherever they move, and you monitor it.
All right.
And you don't have to settle them in one place.
Okay.
When you settle them in one place, since they are nomadic, they will leave that place and still move to another place. So it will not really solve the issue. The issue is, how do we address the issue by bringing them closer to education?
All right.
And once we bring them closer to education, we have solved these pathetic insecurity issues, because they will be educated and they will know that what they are doing is wrong.
All right.
And they should stop it.
Okay, so let's turn our attention to Group Captain Iheanacho. On a final note now, I'd like to ask you this question as a sort of neutral party in this. From what you have seen so far, do you see enough will from the political class, I'm talking about the politicians, to end this insecurity situation in Nigeria? Do you see enough will on their part?
In all sincerity, I do not think we have developed sufficient political will. And even the one that has been expressed so far, we don't seem to walk the talk.
All right.
And I think there is need for us to do more.
Okay.
We need to develop the necessary political will, and we also need to show concrete action to make sure that we stem this tide of insecurity. Everybody, including the Fulanis, are Nigerians, and they have rights. Even in the Committee of Nations, the United Nations, they have rights of existence, rights of residency and all that.
Right.
But I think what we need to do is make sure that we thoroughly look into this matter, carry both the communities and the people affected along with us, and come up with a plan that will be acceptable and comfortable for everybody to live in peace.
Thank you so much, Group Captain Felix Iheanacho. He's a security and defense intelligence expert joining us live from Abuja. I would also like to thank Mr. Oswago Ugochukwu, a lawyer, a member of the Presidential Committee on Administration of Criminal Justice. He's also an APC chieftain. And finally, Mr. Sonny Umar, former media aide to former Vice President Nnamdi Sambo. Thank you so much for your thoughts on the program. Well, on a programming note before we go, coming up right after this is a documentary from the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. Please stay with us.